Hello. Welcome to Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. Yeah, I had better energy last week. Sorry. I bet you did too. Stop pointing fingers. You know what? That wasn't even an intentional double entendre, but I am coming out a little bit flat today. Seems like there's a case of that going around. Usually, I really thought I was going to be very excited to be like, coming up later in today's show, Beards McFly, Sad Fans on Reddit, or Sad Fans officially. It's just back. It is back. I can't guarantee that it's going to be fun, but I can guarantee we're going to play it. Sad Chiefs fans, we're everywhere. I really thought we'd start this season off on a better note. Not that there wasn't every chance the Chiefs could lose to the Los Angeles Chargers in Brazil. I feel like we've been pretty consistent on that front. The AFC West is better. Football is weird. It's hard to win games against good teams. That was all on the table. I didn't see a couple of these things going the way that they did. And maybe even more frustratingly, a lot of it was pretty familiar. We'll talk about the ups and downs, the pros and cons as we go. I'm Joshua Brisco. Tucker D. Franklin is behind the scenes pushing the buttons, and then we'll be in front of the scenes in a little bit later on. And yes, sad Chiefs fans from Beards McFly will come around a little bit later. I'm going to start just at the very tippy top here because this game is now a couple days old. We just heard from Andy Reid, said Xavier Worthy is rehabbing, and they will see how it goes. Also, just while the intro music was playing, sorry, Tucker, no pre-plan for this. I saw there's a clip of Adam Schefter on the Pat McAfee show. I'm going to play a clip of it into my microphone so you can hear what Adam Schefter said 10 minutes ago, courtesy of the Pat McAfee show.
Shoulder. I think he's probably going to miss a little bit of time here. He'll probably be week to week with that dislocated shoulder. Obviously, went down there, went out of the game, did not come back. They sent him for tests, and they don't think it's too bad, too serious, but it does look like he could miss a little bit of time here. So you have no...
There you go. There's something. That's more than we got from Andy Reid about 5 minutes after the fact. Again, just saying that it's going to be an ongoing process for Xavier Worthy. That's the news for your Monday morning. And look, if it was abysmal, Andy Reid could have come out and said, yep, Xavier's going to IR, which I would still think would make some sense. 4 weeks doesn't need to return or whatever. So maybe just him not ending up on IR this week. We'll know, of course, on Friday. That would really change the spectrum of when they're expecting Xavier Worthy back. But I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time on Xavier Worthy. We're going to go ahead and say this has been the first possession of today's show, and Xavier Worthy's out the rest of the way. There are a lot of things to take away from Chiefs Chargers that I think that could rattle your cage a little bit with the Chiefs. I also have a big picture positive slant that I am going to get to. In fact, I'm going to start with some of the things that I'm willing to overlook, some things that we cannot overlook, and then the long view. The first thing that's just genuinely confusing to me, and this is not pop psychology, I'm repeating what Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Chris Jones said after the game. The Chiefs came out flat. I mean, that was their diagnosis, was that they didn't have quite the oomph for quite the energy that they needed. And I hear you whenever that's against the Carolina Panthers midseason. I understand when you're a team that starts in September and ends in February, it is hard to keep that level of enthusiasm up throughout the entire season. I really do think there's something to that. I'm not rolling my eyes at the idea that the Chiefs play more football than anybody else in this last 5-6 year period. That's factually true. They do. But I was really, really surprised that after being internationally embarrassed in the Super Bowl, just the way that game went against the Eagles, that you come out here on a standalone primetime international game on Friday night, and it really, I mean, Patrick Mahomes was lowering his shoulder on the sideline to try to put some spark into this offense. That's what it got to that quickly, and the defense never found its spark. Really kind of baffling, and I think it's also kind of baffling to Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, the guys who talked about it after the game. But that's not something I can diagnose what happened there. It's not something that I can tell you how to fix it in time for week 2. So I don't think I'm going to dissect that one all the way down to its final syllable, simply because it is sort of amorphous. What does it mean to come out flat or to have low energy starting a season? I don't know. You simply don't have that excuse to start the year, and you really, really, really can't have that excuse in game 2 at home against the team who embarrassed you in last year's Super Bowl. So if you got tired of watching Justin Herbert use his legs against the Chiefs defense on Friday, yes, Jalen Hurts is up next. And then Russell Wilson, who's certainly older, but he's been able to do that even as a Bronco. He was able to use his legs to hurt the Chiefs. And then after that, it's Lamar Jackson, who I have heard has legs that also tends to move him forward. So I don't know how to fix the emotion energy thing. I'm going to leave that to Reed, Spags, Nags, Tabs, which is an unnecessary nickname for Dave Tobe. I just need one that rhymes. But let's talk about what happened offensively in this game first. This is what I'm going to tell you. It's probably not as bad as it felt on Friday, but I'm not going to tell you it's great. I'm going to tell you I understand. I'm not mad. I'm a little disappointed, but I understand. Here's my level-headed offensive evaluation. Okay? It's so early in the season. I'm not here to bury the Chiefs in week 1. It's too soon. At least on offense. I said last week, I think on this show, definitely on Weird Games, I've talked about this a bunch recently. Fully healthy, everybody available, I think this is a really good, really fun wide receiver room. Rashee Rice is a number 1 receiver. Not a top 5 receiver at this point, but he's a number 1 receiver. Xavier Worthy is your number 2. That is a great weapon to have in your 2 slot. I'm not even getting to Travis Kelce, by the way. I'm just leaving him in the tight end section for now. Hollywood Brown is wide receiver 3. I was elated when they signed him the first time, 2 off seasons ago. Good wide receiver 3 when he's out there. Juju Smith-Schuster in the 4. That's a veteran who's got a role in this offense, who knows his responsibility. Cool. Jalen Royals is the 5. He'll take some time to ramp him up, but I liked him coming out of college. And then your 6 is Tyquan Thornton doing some deep shot, respect our deep ball kind of stuff from the outside. That's a good wide receiver room. I'll take that wide receiver room for Patrick Mahomes. Like I said last week, it's thin when you remove Rashee Rice from the conversation. Rashee Rice goes out for 6 weeks. Everybody else has to move up a peg. And now Xavier Worthy, can you be a wide receiver 1 for 6 weeks? My answer to that was probably so. And then Hollywood, can you be a 2? Can you be the 3? When's Jalen Royals going to be ready? Probably not in that first act of the season while Rice is out. Just in terms of like his involvement, not even in terms of the injury. Well, then Xavier Worthy gets hurt in the first drive of the season. And you're on plan C now. Hollywood Brown had some ups and downs in this game. He had a bad drop early, and he just kind of seemed, frankly, like a guy who hadn't played a real hot snap of football since February, which is true. And then later in the game, he became the Chiefs' most reliable pass-catching option. I wish he could have scored on the deep ball. The movement there was a little strange. Maybe I'm nitpicking because Patrick Mahomes made an unbelievable play, and Hollywood made the play on his end. They had 3 chances to score from there before settling for that field goal. But he looked like a guy who hadn't played in 7 months. He led the team in receiving. I will say early on in the game on Friday, if you were on washed watch for Hollywood Brown, I'd understand. It's like, oh man, he just got back and he just looks out of sorts. The game went on. He got more comfortable. Presumably, he's going to have a couple of weeks at minimum where he's practicing as the number 1 wide receiver in this offense. That's not how you design it in the offseason, but I think you can survive with that. I'm open to that pathway. I like Hollywood. But the majority of the game plan against the Chargers becomes Patrick Mahomes playing hero ball because plan A, which you had planned away from, knowing that Rashee Rice was suspended for this game. But plan A was one thing. Plan B was running the offense through Xavier Worthy. Plan C is kind of toothless. So Patrick Mahomes puts this game on his shoulders, and he did that successfully for 2.5, 3 quarters. He wasn't great early. Nothing was great early. And then Mahomes was unbelievable. Patrick Mahomes making magic, yards out of thin air, lowering his shoulder, doing it with his legs. And I think you probably know what that means. I'll say I haven't been too deep into the sports betting for a little while. I live in Missouri now and usually do this show from home. We don't have it here yet. Maybe in December, call me. But I was looking at the lines and stuff pregame, and for years, I would just go look at Patrick Mahomes' rushing over-unders, because I feel like those were usually undervalued, especially late in the season and in the playoffs. So eventually the books kind of figured it out. And yesterday or Friday, I was looking at the whatever it was, like 24.5, 25 yards. I feel like it is usually where it settles in for Mahomes. And I looked at that and I thought, man, I mean, if he needs to, he can always run for 25 yards. But it seems like he really goes to that in December, January, February, because it's not how you want to survive with this offense. You don't want him having to play hero ball, and you don't want him taking unnecessary hits. So I think what Patrick Mahomes typically does now at this point is use the weapons around me, but if it's not there, I'm taking off, and I'm going to get a first down by being one step faster than every defender somehow. And that's Mahomes. Maybe the most underrated part of his game at this point in his career. Lamar and Josh Allen are running on purpose all the time. Mahomes runs in like, oh, bleep, well, all right, well, I'll do it myself kind of moments. I wasn't that interested in the over-under in week 1 because that's usually a lever he pulls down the stretch when the games matter a lot, when everybody's keyed in, and when you just have to have it. Week 1 in Brazil against a divisional opponent, Mahomes was in that mode because it was the thing that was working, and they had to keep the chains moving somehow. The craziest thing is that it just about worked. If Harrison Butker makes his PAT, first of all, credit to the rushing on at the end of the half. I mean, that sequence was incredible. But if Harrison Butker makes his PAT, it's 27-20 on that last drive where they took the field goal. They go for it on 4th and goal from the 9. If they get it, it's tied. If they don't get it, they still play defense with 3 timeouts deeper in LA territory. Or say Butker makes it and Hollywood catches that ball for 49 yards and gets 9 more to the end zone instead of going down there, or even gets a little closer. Maybe you're able to run it in from there. Even without Xavier Worthy, and even with a defensive effort that I'm intentionally saving for second because it's so much worse to talk about, this game was 2 butterfly wing flaps away from being tied 27-27 with 3 minutes left. This game should have been tied 27-27 with 3 minutes left. And then I still think they would have lost the game from there. Because you needed your defense to get a stop. You needed somebody to make a play. And that wasn't happening. Let's talk about the defense. Pick your culprit. You've got a couple of options. Not sure any of them are terribly wrong. We've learned this lesson over the years, and what's really frustrating about this, what's frustrating me today, what frustrated me Friday night, what frustrated me all weekend, what otherwise was an incredible weekend of football. Just delightful. I was on my couch so long this weekend. I accomplished so little. It was delightful. I feel more energized than I've felt in months. Last year, in the post-L'Jarius Sneed split, a lot of the Chiefs' defensive issues were being discussed through the lens of coverage and cornerback play. It was understandable. You needed to see who was going to step up and what that first act of Jalen Watson was going to be, and then Watson got hurt. And you go on and you have the Najee Johnson experience. Jalen Watson got hurt, and you go on and you have the Najee Johnson experience and all of that. But the bigger issue to me last year, and I think this was made more evident by week 4 or 5, if memory serves, the pass rush couldn't do anything with 4. Just couldn't get there. You got Chris Jones, but he demands all the attention. Can anybody else win a one-on-one? And that was before Minahu was back, and again, we'll talk about where he's at now. But it's a combined effort of pass rush and pass coverage. When one's good, it makes the other's job significantly easier. I have no credit to give to anybody, pass rush or pass defense on Friday night. And I don't think I'm being rude. I'm not. This isn't a shock jock take of cut everybody and start over. I'm not saying Spags has lost it. I was wearing my In Spags We Trust t-shirt during Friday's show. I was wearing it during the game. I looked at it in the second half, went, oh no. Oh no, do I need to, is this shirt cursed? I think I wore that for the Super Bowl too, actually. Holy cow, the shirt might be cursed. I will not wear it against the Eagles, and I'll report back to you. Because I do still love the shirt. And I still love Steve Spagnuolo. This is one of the most damning statistics I've ever seen in my life for a single game of football. I'm not overstating. This is from RBSDM.com, the Ben Baldwin advanced analytics box score and everything. These are not terribly advanced analytics. You're going to know what they mean immediately, and you're going to go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's what I saw. From RBSDM.com. The Chargers had an 86% success rate on late downs. On third and fourth downs, the Chargers ran a successful play 86% of the time. They had a 90% success rate on late down passing plays. 9 out of 10. On 10 passing plays on third and fourth down, the Chargers got a successful result 9 out of those 10 times. You can't win football games like that. Nobody can. Not even Patrick Mahomes playing Hero Ball. That's the worst time to have your worst plays. And it just happened all day. If it felt like the Chiefs just could not get off the field on third down, it's because they couldn't. And the blame can go around. But that's the result. The result is that they got absolutely walloped on third and fourth down. The run defense was pretty good, by the way. The Omarion Hampton, Najee Harris threats never turned into the reason the Chiefs didn't win this game. The one silver lining is that I saw some aggressive comments on Friday about how much of a fraud Justin Herbert is, and at least I guess we can hopefully evolve beyond that a little bit. He's really good. But I do think the Chiefs gave him an unbelievable set of circumstances to work in on Friday. I know it's bad because before the game was over, I was back on Justin Reid's Spot Track page to try to remember what his deal was, because the deal he got in New Orleans was basically the deal that he signed in Kansas City 3 years prior. Like, not even really needing to adjust to inflation that much. But man, what if they could have carved out 3 for $30 million for Justin Reid? The safeties got obliterated in this game. Guys were running into each other so much. Ben Solak after the game did a cut up of just defensive miscommunications and collisions. It bonkers to me. Shamari Connor, terrible day at the office. At some point, it's one of those situations where it's like, I understand what he brings as a football player. I like having Shamari Connor on the field. I don't know that I like having him on the field that much or in that role. Jaden Hicks, we talked a ton about this offseason. Seemed like he was in line for a big jump. I think he still very well could be. He's now 1 game into his second season. I'm not selling my Jaden Hicks stock. It was just a tough game where it just seemed like he was not where he needed to be a number of times. We got 15 snaps for Christian Fulton, who also, by the way, shout out to Brandon and Kylie for pointing this out. I'd completely forgotten that Fulton's deal was 2 years for $20 million. I had kind of equated, I think the timeline of this still works. I had kind of equated the Chiefs making a choice on Justin Reid and Nick Bolton as pick one, let the other walk. Bolton's younger. Spags loves him more than Justin Reid, I guess. So that's where the choice comes. But Kylie made the point of, like, Fulton's numbers right around there too. You could have given Justin Reid the money you gave to Christian Fulton. I'm not even sure I would have. You may remember, I was thrilled with the Christian Fulton signing. I said multiple times it was my favorite addition of the offseason, or at least my favorite like free agent addition, because I'm, Josh Simmons, thumbs up. Not a perfect day, but a fine one. But you pay Christian Fulton that money, and he played a lot in the third preseason game. He wasn't out there for a bunch of training camp. You're trying to get him back up to speed, and maybe Spags didn't fully trust him to execute everything in the defense. Shamari Connor didn't execute everything you wanted him to execute in the defense, even though he was out there all training camp. The slot was a nightmare, and you have the best slot corner in football, Trent McDuffie. If you play Christian Fulton more than 15 snaps, and you let him and Jalen Watson live on the outside, it's easier to put McDuffie into the slot where he's incredible. The Jaden Hicks, Brian Cook, and frankly, even Shamari Connor safety mistakes are ones I'm probably going to live with. Again, I wish Justin Reed was still on this team to mitigate some of these things, to smooth out some of the sharp edges, to have a veteran presence in the secondary who was not just like caught out of place as often as it seemed to happen on Friday. But young safeties doing safety things, I assume, will be significantly better well into the season. We spent so much of last year watching the Shamari Connor man slot corner experiment not work terribly well, but it was there out of necessity. It's not a necessity anymore if Christian Fulton and Jalen Watson are healthy. So I assume that's next. I assume that needs to be next as a lever Spags can pull. But it's kind of bonkers. I mentioned Josh Simmons. Back to the offensive side here briefly, then we'll take a timeout. We'll bring in Tucker. I've got good news and bad news. I've got a big question for you listening, watching right now that I'll ask after the break. I will admit here in this window, I'm a little bit itchy about Juwan Taylor. I don't know why this was the game for me. I feel like I kind of dealt with a lot of the like false start things and the formation things, because at some point it felt like that snowballed to more than it was. You mix in like some holds, and even one of his holding penalties I remember thinking was kind of ticky-tack. I want to be generous, but like Jalen Moore's on the roster now. Jalen Moore was on the roster last year or any other points during the penalty-related meltdowns. I don't know. I'm willing to give it another little bit for Juwan Taylor, but having like more and new unrelated penalties just being all over the place is baffling. But the thing that is like the most fundamentally concerning from this entire game to me is that the pass rush just had nothing. Just nothing. I don't remember where we talked about it on Friday. I don't know if it was the hope. It was my actually it wasn't. My worry and wish. Neither one of them really came true. We talked at some point about making Trey Pipkins look like a player that Chargers fans on Reddit wanted cut 6 months ago, and they made Trey Pipkins look like Rashawn Slater in a Trey Pipkins jersey. Nobody, anything, ever. George Karlaftis was credited for a sack on the play where he almost tore Chris Jones' ACL. It was the one team collision that didn't end as badly as all the rest of them seem to now, between Worthy and Rice last year. I understand Mike Dana getting gloved up by Joe Alt all day. And they moved some guys around. There was some Leo on the edge, Dana, Minahu, Karlaftis, Jones on the outside. I'll also go ahead and say the obvious thing. Chris Jones has to keep contained on that last meaningful play. That's his job on that play. He has to keep contained. He said that post-game. We all agree. I also can't entirely blame Chris Jones at the end of that game looking around and saying, well, maybe I just need to try to make it happen myself. Or also, I think Seth made this point. Kind of surprising that you would make Chris Jones's job on that play keep contained, because you know Herbert's been doing this for the entire game, and you have one pass rusher who has shown you anything. Not a great game for Chris Jones, by the way, but he's at least like demanding the attention. It would have made sense to have somebody else with eyes on Herbert on 3rd and 14? Whatever. I can't believe how easy of a life Justin Herbert lived behind a backup right tackle and Mekhi Becton with the rumbly tumblies. You never would have known. You would have assumed without the names and the numbers. If I would have watched this exact performance back, I would have said, man, that Rashawn Slater-Joe Alt combo that LA has is just dominant. I mean, George Karlaftis couldn't do anything. What? That was a Trey Pipkins? They worked so hard to get him out of the lineup. I don't think that you can end anybody's season on this. I don't think that any of these guys who I've mentioned having terribly bad games are cursed to make no plays the rest of the season. But that's how it happened. For a ton of that game, you needed somebody on either side of the ball other than Patrick Mahomes to make a play. Travis Kelce made one. Hollywood helped make one. The running game was non-existent. The pass rush was non-existent. The coverage was bad. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, just a rough one. Rough way to start the season. I'm going to sell you some good news and bad news on the other side of our first time out.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
First of all, I just can't believe that was a full, nearly half hour of me talking. I apparently still have that muscle. I just wasn't sure. And that was my biggest question on my season preview for this show was, am I still going to accidentally open my mouth and talk for 25 straight minutes? And I guess good news, Tucker. I did. I guess if it's good news is subjective.
Still got it, man. It's something you can take the radio out of the boy, but you can't take the boy out of the radio, I think is the how the old saying goes. But no, it's good.
Either way, it sounds terribly painful.
Right.
Thank
I've been running a poll, by the way.
Oh, what's the poll? I didn't even see it.
Yeah, I ran two polls. The first one is the sky falling? Is the first one I ran at the very beginning of the show. I believe that was I have to go back and check that one. No was the answer for the poll yet. Nah, 60%. Yeah, 39% is the sky falling. Poll currently out right now. Who are you blaming on defense? The options were secondary, D-line, linebackers, Spags. Put four answers in there. D-line leading the way with 47% of the vote. Secondary at 33% of the vote. Linebackers only 4%. Spags at 16%. So Spags getting some of the blame as well. Talked about a little bit with Matt Verderame. If you hit on this too in the monologue of just hey, Shamari Connor being out there is that's not good, and it's just we know that it's not good, right? At what point is that not Shamari Connor's fault anymore, and it's more of a coaching staff problem? It's something to think about and talk about. I know Spags has been great and phenomenal, but. Yeah,
I think that split's pretty good. I think that split's probably about right. I will say on the linebacker front, Drew Tranquil was in a couple little rub collisions that I tend to assume probably weren't his fault. And Nick Bolton and Leo Chanel didn't do anything to fix what was happening. Don't know that I'd start there for blame. I mean, there were plenty of plays where Bolton was, just there. But when everything around, when there's no pass rush and the safeties are pass rush and safety play in nightmare mode, I'm not going to ask Nick Bolton to single-handedly save that game for his paycheck. Let me give you. Oh, you go ahead, Tucker. What are you thinking?
I had something thrown out there. You brought up the Jawan Taylor thing, and I said, I wanted to check this out. So I went to NFLpenalties.com. They keep track of every penalty that's been thrown. He currently leads the league in penalties with 4 penalties on him. Obviously, 2 of the holdings, 2 false starts. Funny enough, the Chiefs also have another player on the top of the list. There's a lot of players tied at 2, right? So I guess you could say tied for 3rd. You could say it's a long list of players, but that would be both George Karlaftis and Joshua Simmons both have 2 penalties to their name as well. So
Josh Williams has 2 on special teams, by the way.
Oh yeah, Josh Williams does have 2. I missed Josh Williams on that. Yeah. So that's great. That's awesome. That's good.
Not ideal. The roughing the passer against Karlaftis was an insane call because Herbert didn't hit the ground, but it was a late hit. So I hear you. That's another thing that it felt like. You couldn't get off the field on 3rd downs, couldn't stay on the field on offensive 3rd downs, penalties everywhere. Yeah. Extremely hard to win football games that way. Yeah. So here's my good news, bad news that I'll pitch to you, Tucker, and then I've got a big question that I'm going to ask you to answer. And then you know what? Then it can also be another poll question as well.
Yes.
Here's the good news, bad news. This isn't like a prediction necessarily, but I think this is totally possible. I think with that loss in the rear view, I think it is entirely possible that the Chiefs start 1-3. That stinks. Nobody wants to live in that space. But you lose to the Chargers, you lose to the Eagles, you beat the Giants, you lose to the Ravens. We're on 3 losses now, just playing this scenario out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Jags and the Lions look a little shaky in this iteration.
Right.
The Jags are a little bit shaky because they're the Jags. Let's say you get back to 3-3 there. I think that's very reasonable. Then you get the Raiders and Commanders. Let's split them. 4-5.
Fair.
4-5, and you're now up to speed with Rashee Rice for the Bills, the Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. Here's what I'm pitching you on. I think the Chiefs could go 1-3 to 3-3 to 4-5 to 12-5.
Yeah.
I think, and this is the short version here, because I think I'm also penciling in a loss to the Bills. Maybe it's the beating the Commanders, losing the Bills. I'm not sure. I can't remember what I did. Here. They could be below 500 more than halfway into the season and in this season with 12 wins. I guess it's a little bit of assuming some things get better, but after the Bills game, Broncos, Colts, Cowboys, Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders.
Yeah.
8 consecutive games you should be favored in. 8 consecutive games you should have Rashee Rice for. Presumably 8 consecutive games with Xavier Worthy.
Right.
And then here's the question for you, and I guess for the poll if you want.
Yeah.
Feels pretty bad right now. We're in pretty bad shape. No one's very happy with how that went, nor should they. Would you pick against the Chiefs making it to the AFC Championship game?
That's a great question. No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not. Thank you.
This becomes the insanity of the world we currently live in. That game was miserable. It made me sad. It showed real flaws and short-term issues. Short-term issues like you lose. I mean, Worthy's loss might not be short-term. Although, again, right now it sounds like they're optimistic. But in-game problems you can't bail out from. Long-term concerns like the secondary and the pass rush. And I still tell you right now, I'm giving you $100 that's got to go straight into your betting app of choice.
Right. DraftKings.
Straight up and down to our friends at DraftKings. Straight up and down. Do the Chiefs make the AFC Championship game? I watched Bills-Ravens last night. I'm going to tell you definitively, in week 1 of 2025, those are 2 definitively better football teams than the Kansas City Chiefs as of September 7th, 2025. I would feel like such a fool to revisit this in a few months when Rice is back, healthy and rested, when hopefully Worthy's back, we'll see, when I assume some of those things defensively will be sorted out. I assume some of them won't be. I don't think Mike Dana's going to grow 2 extra arms. I don't know that George Karlaftis is going to take a significant step this season. Maybe he will. I would love it if he did. But I don't need every extent of my imagination. I really just need my memory from the last several years. And that makes me think this is probably an 11 or 12 win team, which is still probably good enough to win the AFC West, probably not good enough for the 1 seed. And then every playoff team in the AFC is going to be bleeping bricks waiting to see who has to play the Chiefs in the first round. That's where I'm at right now.
I just you asking this question, polls up on the YouTube chat, by the way. Go hit the poll on the YouTube chat. I went over to DraftKings Sportsbook because I thought, you know what? You make a really good point, Josh. The Bills and the Ravens both looked really good on Sunday night. The Chiefs did not look that great.
Yeah.
And they still almost won a game, right?
Yeah.
I went over to check those odds, what the Chiefs are to win the Super Bowl and to win the AFC. To win the AFC, plus 600. Plus
Ooh.
600. $100 would win you $600. I'd feel pretty good about that, truthfully. To win the Super Bowl, plus 1,200. You're getting plus 1,200 odds. You parlay those suckers together? Oh, you can't parlay them, actually. Never mind. But you can,
what are the Bills and Ravens for the AFC? The Chiefs are plus 600.
Yeah. Bills are plus 260, and the Ravens are plus 330. So the Chiefs have almost double the odds to win the AFC. According to our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. It is very, very interesting. Actually,
obviously, again, winning that game means you're going to the Super Bowl, and that's different than just getting there, which Mahomes has only ever done as a starter. Right. But the Bills deserve the edge there because they're now in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. Yeah. Hey, real quick, if you went to sleep early last night, the Bills won.
Insane.
I had football on the TV legit for like 20 hours straight this weekend, outside of the time I slept. And at that point, there was like 5 minutes left in the game. I had like almost been like, hey, Renee, we can watch something else now. That has been a lot of football noises on, a lot of red zone today. You can go, we can pick something else. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's Bills Ravens. Let's see how it ends. Oh my God.
What message did we wake up to this morning? I think it was Maddie Lane sent us a message this morning and said, wait, the Bills won?
Yeah, so like he's in that like 4:30. I hope Maddie talks about his weekend on the lab because
he's not going to be on the lab actually.
So. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I don't want to put all his. It just that Maddie had a travel weekend. It seemed like holy boy. Yeah, good for him. Probably deserving.
Update of the poll here as I'm looking here, Josh. Would you still pick the Chiefs to make the AFC title game? 68% of the viewers who have voted say yes, they would.
And that to me. I'm assuming that a lot of the people who are with us right now for the first couple weeks of this show are generally familiar with like kind of our whole steez, right. The people that we are and the way that we look at things. I really genuinely like at my soul, I don't feel like I never want to fire anybody in week 1. And I think we've all learned our lessons on specifically with the Chiefs. Like, oh man, it looks ugly or the games are close or they lost a game they weren't supposed to lose. Is this the year they literally don't make the AFC championship game? Because which again, like I hadn't seen that in my life until Patrick Mahomes got here. And then now I haven't not seen that for a year in the time since. I think we've learned that like we need to take some time before passing these lasting judgments. Yep. I am not telling you that you shouldn't be alarmed about the pass rush. I was alarmed about it this time last year. I'm alarmed about it now. I was alarmed about it all off season. I hope Charles Minahu gets a little extra juice somewhere in there. Contract year for him. We'll find out. Basically a contract year for Mike Dana. I am 6.5 out of 10 worried about Karlaftis maybe just because you just gave him a whole bunch of money and you got to I'm not for one beat insinuating like he got paid, now he's packing it in. But I think you paid him with the expectation that there's one more gear, because simply being the second best pass rusher on a defensive line with Chris Jones and not a lot else consistently isn't going to get you over that hump for me. Omar Norman-Lott didn't play in this game. Marlon Tuipulotu did get the call up we talked about on Friday. Cool. Again, the run defense was good. The Chargers had no reason to run it at a certain point because the pass defense was non-existent. But I'm not just buying totally like blind optimism, just everything's going to get fixed. The Chiefs were extremely close to beating a pretty good football team on plan C on offense and showing real issues I'm genuinely concerned about defensively. I think that puts us kind of middle of the road, middle of the pack in terms of like what we expect. And it did, of course, take heroics from Patrick Mahomes. If Mahomes would have been anybody else in that game, it's not that close and everything looks worse.
Ooh,
the good news is Patrick Mahomes will be on this team going forward.
I like this comment from Charlie here. Shout out Charlie in the chat. Gelati had some juice. Let the kid play. He did. He did look good.
Yep.
Limited
he left with an
snaps.
injury on special teams, came back in and made it out. So, yeah, look good.
There's juice there. I think here's the thing, Josh, is that we can have these conversations. And look, the Kansas City Chiefs don't lose very many football games, so we're not used to having these conversations, right? We can have these conversations about how they didn't look good, and two things can still be true at the same time, right? There is some nuance in these conversations. And I think when some people see, sometimes if it's Matt Verderame, if it's the KC Laboratory talking about how, that didn't look very good, we're not saying that, or you and I here right now, we're not saying that like they're a shit football team and they're not going to make it to the AFC Championship game, right? Like, both things can still be true. Like, there's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of season left. I do think that after the game, that was probably not the right time to be like, there's still a lot of season left because of how that game did go. It was just wildly frustrating, and you kind of just got to vent that out. But, like, that's the thing about these conversations is that they're incredibly nuanced. Both things, multiple things, can be true at the same time in conversations that I don't think it's pervade, is that the right word? Is that a word at all?
I don't know. I was totally with you, and then you hit a word that I don't think I know which word you're fishing for.
Yeah, pervade is a word. Is that the word that I was looking for? Provide or supply? Yeah, I think it was.
Was that past tense of provide? Is past tense of provide pervade? Is that what that?
Maybe. Let me know in the chat if you guys know the origins of what's the country of origin for purvey?
I'll tell you what, there is no more quintessentially 9 p.m. almost entirely sports bits than origin of the idiom, something we made imaging for at one point, because I just really like figuring out like, where did the one that I could think of was by far the least pleasant example to find the origins of, like, what's the origin of rule of thumb? Right. And then sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not, and that one was horrifying, and it's fun to find the idiom. I don't know about pervade.
Claude says pervasive. Think pervasive.
Pervasive is a word I definitely know. Yeah. So that's a different tense of pervasive. Thank you, Claude.
It is Old French, by the way, is the country of origin.
Spell it for me.
Now this is saying Purvey is purvey. Pervade is past tense of to spread or promote. I think I nailed it, actually. I think that is actually the word I wanted to use.
I think you might have nailed it, but as soon as you said purvey, you stopped your sentence and went to go look it up. And so I don't even remember what the context of your sentence was about.
I was trying to say, I don't think this is very well purveyed on social media.
Love that. Fantastic. I would have said conveyed. And that's I think history will smile on you.
How about that? I guess I am good at words.
Here's what I'll say, Tucker. I am glad that you said that. Task failed successfully. Thank you, Ryan. That's
100% exactly what that was.
I think you're completely right. I do think on a very earnest level, that is something I want us to always have here in these little pockets of a couple hours a week of like, I don't really have the wherewithal at this point to just try to rile you up for an hour and say a bunch of nonsense. And then by the time Friday show comes around, I don't remember what I said here. I know you can all keep receipts. I know that I have a brand. I know my takes from years ago are still extant in this world now. So I'm trying to be responsible, damn it. Which is why we go to a very special source when responsibility and nuance are not necessarily on the menu. Let's take a time out when we come back. Beards McFly's Sad Fans, Chiefs edition.
What's good, everyone? It is KCSN betting analyst Benny Heiss. Something hit me as I was driving to the Missouri side, ironically, for something not available on the Kansas side. I cross over. I just can't get over how long sports fans in the state of Missouri have been waiting. It feels like forever. Good news is you don't have to wait much longer because DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is finally coming to the Show Me State. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I got to wait on the sidelines until December 1st, it's not true. You can sign up right now. And when we go live, new Missouri customers get $300 in bonus bets just for placing a $5 bet. $5. That's not even as much as a pumpkin spice latte that's going to take over. So it's not some ragtag sports, but this is DraftKings. You got live in-game betting. So if your team starts hot, you could jump in mid-play. There's lightning fast payouts. None of that wait 3 days for your money nonsense. And you've got more ways to get in on the action. There's no better way to start. It's all from your phone. When we go live, you'll be betting with a sportsbook trusted by millions, safe, secure, fast withdrawals, everything you want. Well, except maybe a guarantee that your team will cover the spread, but that part's still on you. So here's the move. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code KCSN, and when we go live December 1st, that $5 bet turns into $300 in bonus bets. That is code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus and physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after they are issued. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
All right, let's put the TV frame on. Let's get to everything else of it. At bare minimum, we get to hide behind the CRT filter while the sad fans go. If you are new to the bit, I really thought you were going to have a fun one for today. This can be a moment of shared sadness. Misery loves company. Sometimes commiserating together is the best way to do it. And if you're unfamiliar, the one and only Beards McFly, you can follow on socials at Beards McFly. He goes through the losing subreddit of teams' game threads during and after games. Sometimes he'll poke around other corners of social media to find things that sad fans of the losing team have said. This started in a Chiefs-Bengals game a billion years ago. It was like 41-10 or something. And Beard started there. He found the idea then. I really wanted to give you some sad Chargers fans. I guess the good news here is this was probably longer because there are more Chiefs fans. And I have to imagine they had a pretty tough night on Friday night. The opinions expressed in sad fans are not necessarily reflective of the opinions of Joshua Brisco, Tucker Franklin, everything else with Joshua Brisco, or not even necessarily Beards McFly himself. Beards McFly is a vessel for sad fans who are going through various hardships and struggling opinions over the course and shortly thereafter a losing football game. And without further ado, I bring you Beards McFly's Sad Fans, Chiefs Edition.
And now, a list of things said by sad Chiefs fans. Dear football gods, I asked if we could explode out of the gate, not implode. Just in case you misunderstood. Cursed season begins. If I had a nickel for every time a Chiefs player injured their own wide receiver one, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's insane that it's happened twice. This team is my dudes. LMAO. Why would I expect anything different? 2 runs for nothing and a 3 and out while injuring our wide receiver 2. For f***'s sake. Nick Bolton being useless in coverage after a 3 and out. We're the exact same team as last year, huh? God, f*** off, Cheffers. Pro.
Okay, Carlos.
New offensive line giving Pat all day to throw. Con. Apparently no one could get open with that much time? Just impossible to watch a stress-free Chiefs game. Every time. I guess the NFL really wants to establish the Chiefs don't get all the calls? McCole is already warming up. I remember I used to get excited when Mahomes would throw it deep, and now I just think, what a waste of a play. I will say this. I'm happy we re-signed Juju. As the kids say, this is cheeks. Wide receiver 1, out for 6 games. Wide receiver 2, out due to friendly fire. Wide receiver 3, drops ball that hits him in the hands. We are so back! Go Chiefs! I'm going to have to listen to another season of 80 IQ football takes about Pat regressing because Veach only brings in bums or child-sized receivers. Hot Pockets. After the Super Bowl, I told myself I wasn't going to let the games affect me emotionally so much this year. Not off to the greatest start on that goal.
I felt the same way.
Comment. It's week 1, and I am yet again imploring Brett Veach to invest in some wide receivers already. Reply.
He tried!
Don't worry, he'll fix it by signing or trading for some old wide receivers.
DeAndre Hopkins looked great last time, by the way! Damn
I'll
it!
just see you guys in January. Carl Chevers. Maybe I'm the superstar everyone wants to see. Whoever is calling our offense is sucking lips. Look, I'm not saying he should give them up forever, but maybe just until he retires. We need kid-free Patrick back. Damn, feel bad for these Brazilian fans so far. What has Matt Nagy ever brought me besides Super Bowls and misery? Another year of me asking for the Chiefs to let Pacheco get a single carry out of the I formation instead of all the dumbass draws every time. Did you know that you can get 2 first downs in 1 drive? Our offense still feels like pulling teeth. Long incremental drive that results in a field goal. The spirit of Alex Smith lives in this team yet. Everyone eligible to catch a pass has bricks on their feet. Why do we get f***ing lobotomized in the red zone? Did Sutton hack the helmet radio of Bolton out there and it's calling again? I keep thinking every time I see Herbert with that pocket, if only Mahomes had that. But then he gets it and does nothing. I'm watching Showtime Mahomes regress into primetime Kirk Cousins. Sad face emoji.
Stop it! No. Stop it!
I wish Kelsey hadn't retired. He could really help the offense right now.
Beards ban both of those people.
The old switch of 2. The offense woke up and the defense can't tie their own shoe with Velcro straps. Might as well put McDuffie at nose tackle since we don't want to use him right. Our first win may have to come against the Giants this year. What happened to the defense I loved? Sad face emoji. Great. No defense and no wide receivers anymore. There are people in this sub who are going to say, how can you blame the defense when the rest of us have eyeballs? We can see their complete inability to cover, get pressure, and get off the field. The Chargers signed Keenan Allen out of a goddamn nursing home and he ran laps around us. The good. Mahomes is back. The bad. Boy, where do I even begin? What a load of I can see why the Chiefs offense may have looked unbeatable in training camp. And now, the winner of things said by sad Chiefs fans. I've seen less holding at a Coldplay concert.
There you go. I hope that was cathartic for all of you. It helped me, I think. I think my selfish favorite one in there, just because I'm kind of tired of having the exact same conversation about this person. What has Matt Nagy ever brought me other than Super Bowls and misery is so funny and so good, because that's the only time you ever hear anybody say his name. It's like, I can't believe he single-handedly ruined this entire offense. Ooh, Super Bowl.
That's a good one. I do love the bleeped out one where there was more words bleeped out than I think actually said.
This is a bleep load of bleep, I think. That's really good.
That one caught me. That one hit the funny bone just right.
See if we can laugh together.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it makes it a tiny bit better. We've already gone past 1 o'clock, but we're under an hour. Tucker, I'm not going to get to this on Friday if I don't talk about it now. Can I tell you about my new stupid mobile game that I love that tried to ruin my life yesterday and night successfully?
Absolutely. I don't got nowhere to be, so you're good.
So a couple days ago, I wanted to be around the sport of football, but I didn't want to actually like play college football 26 or whatever, right? I've got Retro Bowl on my phone. It's a great mobile game. But I didn't really want to. The problem with a lot of those is I want to do the team building stuff, and I don't necessarily want to play 75 of the games to go through several seasons of rebuilds and adjustments and everything. So I just looked in the App Store for I think just like like football sim game or something like that. Let me tell you about Ultimate Pro Football GM. And if you're like, Josh, looks like you're having to read that from your phone. I am. I didn't know what it was called. The logo is I'll tell you, there's some AI generated photos in there that I'm not over the moon about. I tell you what, it's got 4.6 stars. I paid $2.99 to unlock like the full version. And I played this thing the entire time Red Zone was on and also through Sunday Night Football.
Incredible.
It is a pretty good way of where you get like you have to I got a loading screen I hadn't seen before because I hadn't actually closed the app. I bet my screen time on this yesterday is physically disgusting. I am in year 2036 and the Kansas City Possums are the reigning football league champions. It took an incredibly long time. I've done a lot of draft pick maneuvering, a lot of trading up, a lot of swapping out current late picks for future seconds and thirds. I've been building this sucker. My team is now a 90 overall, and I am entering year 10 or year 11 in the off seasons here. I'll show you some of the some of the layouts here. You roster 2 quarterbacks and 2 fullbacks and 2 running backs and 5 receivers. You're not getting to a 53-man roster, but you're kind of getting your starters figured out and everything. Right. You got to manage the salary cap. You got to manage your contracts. And I love that stuff. But the best part about this one is that it's in portrait mode. It's vertical. So I can just hold it with my little snap socket thing. I can't snap grip. They're not a sponsor. I don't know. If they want to be, hit me up. I love this thing, but I'm not on the payroll. I can just sit here, look with one hand, look at it again. It's better during like standalone games. I completely missed Raiders Patriots on Red Zone. I forgot that game had happened because I think just every time it was on TV, except for one Jacoby Myers reception I saw, I was trying to figure out if my West Coast offense has enough team chemistry. I have not had a single game completely sink its claws into me for a 12-hour period as much as this did in a very, very, very long time. So this is sort of a cry for help and also kind of an endorsement. I don't know. Not endorsement's the wrong word. I don't know what they do with your data. I don't know where these assets came from. The AI stuff does throw up a little red flag. The fact that the logo just says Football Ultimate GM 2 makes me wonder if there's a Football Ultimate GM 1 that I should have played first. But man alive, this thing has me in a chokehold. I think that the championship might let me free now. I might be able to skip it. I'm going to play it during Monday Night Football, though. I want to manage my own roster while I'm watching Monday Night Football. I love this game. It will kill me.
There's a special niche genre of mobile games that you play for about a week and then don't pick up ever again. And there's a lot that I could get into because I never delete the apps from my phone, so I could probably just go through like my games folder that's on the app, and I could go through and be like, wow, I remember when I went really hard and paid $1.99 to not have to watch ads while I conquered the world on this version. And then once I got it, I was like, all right, I'm done. I can move on. But there's a special place in my heart for mobile games that can occupy the space that you need it to occupy for the amount of time that you need it to occupy.
I have written down in one of our Google Docs, Tucker, for the future, mobile game graveyard, because I also have a bunch of these in the folder right now. I did have 11 hours of screen time on my phone yesterday. 8 hours and 9 minutes of that were you football GM. 8 hours and 9 minutes.
Hell yeah.
I wasn't touching the buttons every bit of those 8 hours, but it was just on. I had my phone plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
What am I hiding? Who am I afraid of? Nothing. I'm playing fake football while watching real football, and it was absolutely majestic.
That's all we can for.
It really is.
I'm
trying to figure out why my Omnipod app has so much screen time from yesterday. That's how I take insulin and stuff. So it makes sense I use it a lot. But I didn't have it on for 6 hours. So maybe I've got some artificial numbers. The 8 hours of this game, though, were entirely legit, apparently. I think we've done it, Tucker. We're over an hour. We started a minute or two late and finished several minutes late. Take that, everybody who was afraid that this Only Weird Games was only a Nate and Seth problem. Apparently, I'm part of the problem, too. You've got the KC Lab tonight here on the KCSN YouTube channel. Yep. Only Weird Games Tuesday and Thursday. I'll be back there with this show coming back on Friday. But you are noon to 1 slot the next 3 days with this man right here. KCSN Live with Tucker D. Franklin. He's already done like 4 shows about Chiefs Chargers. So, Tucker, I look forward to how you're going to put a spin on it for Tuesday. Do you want to tease it? Do you want to tease KCSN Live for tomorrow? You can't.
Yeah,
you don't have anything planned yet.
Yeah, I don't have anything planned yet, and that's the beauty of KCSN Live. It truly is live. It is truly a live experience, so you have to join me to find out what it is. But I'm probably just gonna just absolutely dunk on the Chicago Bears. The game hasn't happened yet. Well, by the time we're doing the show, but I'm sure that I'm gonna have something to just dunk on the Chicago Bears with. I can't wait.
I'll be there. You should be there too. That'll do it, though, for this edition of Everything Else with Joshua Brisco, me, and Tucker D. Franklin, him, on KC Sports Network. Here. Until next time. Bye, Mom.